Part 2. The Search for Answers, 1200 to 1500 words. Lena couldn't sleep that night. The whispers echoed in her mind, that soft voice that had come from the mirror. Help me. Who was it? What did it want? The image of the shadow clung to her thoughts, even though she tried to push it away. The next morning, after another restless night, Lena decided she needed answers. The idea of ignoring it any longer was unbearable. She had to know what was happening, and more importantly, why. She could no longer pretend it was a trick of the mind, a mere figment of her overactive imagination. She started by looking up the house's history. The place was old, built over a century ago, and Lena had bought it only a few months ago. There had been some minor renovations done before she moved in, but nothing significant, or so she thought. Still, she felt as if the house held some kind of secret, something that had been hidden for years, waiting for her to uncover. At the local library, Lena dug through dusty old books and archives, hoping to find anything that might explain the strange occurrences. Her search seemed fruitless until she stumbled upon an old journal, buried deep within a box of forgotten records. The handwriting was faded, but the name written on the cover sent a cold chill down her spine. Eliza Hargrave. The Hargrave family had lived in the house before it was sold to Lena. According to the brief history she could find, Eliza had been a young woman who died mysteriously at the age of 22. Her death was ruled an accident, but the townsfolk whispered of strange occurrences in the house after her passing. It seemed no one had ever truly forgotten her. Lena flipped through the pages of the journal. It was filled with ramblings and odd descriptions of her dreams, of visions of a shadowy figure that appeared in the mirror. The journal mentioned an old mirror, identical to the one in her hallway, that Eliza had inherited from her grandmother. According to Eliza's writing, the mirror wasn't just a reflection of reality, it was a doorway. A doorway to another world, a place where shadows could manifest. One entry stood out to Lena. It was written in a frantic scrawl, as though the author had been overtaken by fear. I see him in the mirror, every night. The shadow. I can feel him watching me, waiting. He wants to take me, to pull me through the glass. But I won't let him. I can't let him. There is something more in that mirror, something ancient, something evil. Lena's hands trembled as she read the words. She stared at the page for a long time, the weight of Eliza's words settling over her. Was this what was happening to her? Had Eliza experienced the same thing? Or had the mirror always been a part of the house's dark history? Either way, Lena knew she had to do something before the shadow in the mirror grew stronger. Her thoughts were interrupted when she returned to the house, her mind still buzzing with new information. She couldn't wait any longer to confront the mirror again. There was something about it, something in her gut that told her it was the key. Maybe the answers were there, waiting for her to see them. When Lena entered the hallway, she froze. There it was, the shadow. It was more distinct now, its shape almost human, tall and broad, standing just behind her reflection in the mirror. The air in the room grew cold, and a chill ran down her spine. It was like it was aware of her presence, watching her. This time, however, Lena didn't look away. She stepped closer to the mirror, her reflection staring back at her with the same intensity. The shadow inched forward, moving in time with her. It was almost as if the shadow was trying to match her every movement, as if it were a part of her. She raised her hand slowly, pressing it against the cool glass, her fingers shaking. The shadow did the same. It was exactly like her, mimicking her every movement, but there was a malicious undertone to it, as if it was waiting for the right moment to strike. Lena took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. The shadow's movements were unnerving, but she refused to back down. She had to understand it. What do you want? Her question echoed in the quiet of the hallway, but the shadow didn't respond. Instead, it simply shifted. It seemed to grow taller, its edges blurring, as if it were about to reach out from the mirror and pull her in. Lena's mind raced. She had to get rid of it. There was no way she could live like this, trapped in a house where a shadow moved of its own accord, speaking to her in whispers. But how? Turning her back to the mirror, Lena tried to think. She needed to find a way to break whatever connection the shadow had with the mirror. Eliza's journal had mentioned something about breaking the link, but Lena wasn't sure what that meant. There was only one way to find out. That night, Lena searched the house. She moved from room to room, her mind racing. There had to be something that could tell her how to end this nightmare. In the attic, she found it. A box, old and covered in dust. Inside was an assortment of objects, from faded photographs to a peculiar metal key. As she sifted through the contents, she found another journal, this one belonging to Eliza's grandmother. It was filled with symbols, strange markings that looked like a language Lena didn't recognize. But there was a particular page that caught her eye. It was an incantation, written in bold, black ink. To sever the bond, To break the curse, one must shatter the mirror, not with force, but with purpose. Only then can the shadow be released. Lena's breath caught in her throat. She had to destroy the mirror, but not just break it in rage. It had to be done with intent, with purpose, or the shadow would remain. With newfound resolve, Lena returned to the hallway, the mirror waiting for her, its dark presence looming. She stood before it once more, the shadow now fully formed behind her reflection. This time, Lena didn't hesitate. She focused on the mirror, on the shadow, and with all the strength she could muster, she whispered the words from the journal. I sever the bond, I break the curse. I release you. The air grew thick, and the mirror trembled as if responding to her words. And then, with a force that seemed to come from within her, Lena stepped forward, her hand reaching for the glass. The shadow in the mirror screamed.